Welcome students. So today we are moving to a new chapter, that is chapter 14, transport in plants. Transport in plants. We know when we have food, that food will be reaches different parts of our body. Like that, in plants also, some food, water and other minerals should be reach different parts of the plant body. Okay, so how these food, minerals and waters are reached different parts of the plant body? Through the process transport. Transport is carrying some things from one place to another. So transport is the carrying of things from one place to another. Okay, in plants, what are the things we want to carry to different parts? Yes, first one is water. Second, food. Third, mineral ions. Minerals. Other things are also there. So, mainly water and food are the two materials that should be transported different parts of the plant body. So, water. Water is transported to different parts of the plant body through the tissues called xylem. So, xylem helps for the transport of water from roots to different parts of the plant body. So, water which is present in the soil and it is absorbed by the roots, and these root absorbed water is transported to the xylem tissues, and with the help of xylem tissues it is transported to different parts of the plant body. Then food. We know in our last class we discussed about photosynthesis, and as a result of photosynthesis food is prepared. Okay, these prepared food, where the photosynthesis takes place? Photosynthesis takes place in the leaves. So, from leaves, these prepared food should be transported to different parts of the plant body through the tissues called phloem. So, xylem and phloem. In our last class, we discussed about these xylem and phloem. I think you all are remember that our beginning class, we discussed xylem and phloem. And these minerals, along with water, these minerals are also transported to the various parts of the plant body. Okay. So, transport in plants. So, there are some means of transport. Some means of transport. What are the means of transport? First one is diffusion. What is diffusion? Okay, what is diffusion? So, the movement of solid, liquid, gaseous and gaseous materials, means of transport. First one, diffusion. So, what is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of solid, liquid or gaseous materials from a concentration of lower concentration, from a concentration of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the help of energy. So, diffusion is from high concentration, to low concentration. High concentration to low concentration without the utilization of energy. So, diffusion is a passive process. So, diffusion is the movement of solid, liquid and gaseous molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the utilization of energy. So, diffusion is a passive process. Second means of transport is active transport. So, active transport is a energy utilization process. So active transport is worked with the help of energy expenditure. Here it is against the concentration gradient. Against the concentration gradient means from low concentration to high concentration. In case of diffusion, it is along the concentration gradient. In case of active transport, it is against the concentration gradient. Here, energy is required. Here, energy is required. So, it is a active process. In case of active process or active transport, some membrane-bound proteins are helped for this active transport, so that these membrane bound proteins, they help the liquid or other materials to cross the cell membrane. So what is this? Membrane bound proteins. Membrane bound proteins. Membrane bound proteins that are present on the cell membrane, and these membrane bound proteins that help the materials to cross the cell membrane. These membrane bound proteins are also called as pumps. These membrane bound proteins are also called as pumps. You understand? So active transport means the movement of molecules or movement of materials from low concentration to high concentration with the utilization of energy with the help of some membrane bound proteins called pumps, and it is an active process. Then next one is osmosis. What is osmosis? Osmosis is the movement of water or solvent molecules. Osmosis is the movement of water or solvent molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration through semi-permeable membrane. High concentration to low concentration through semi-permeable membrane. What is meant by semi-permeable membrane? Semi-permeable membrane means only certain molecules can be transported or transferred through that membrane. That is called semi-permeable membrane. Only certain type of molecules can be crossed across that membrane. Such type of membrane are called semi-permeable membrane. Okay. So osmosis is the movement of water or solvent molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. Then next one is plasmosis. Plasmolysis means when we place a cell in hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution means the concentration of solute is more. So when we place a cell in a hypertonic solution, their protoplasm or the water content which is present inside the cell will release the water into the surroundings, and the plasma means protoplasm, it will shrink. That is called plasmolysis. So what is meant by plasmolysis? When we place a cell in a hypertonic solution, the water molecule which move out of the cell and resulting in the shrinkage of protoplasm away from the cell wall. Shrinkage of protoplasm away from the cell wall are called plasmolysis. Then imbibition. Imbibition means when we put a grape in a water, after some time what will happen? The grape becomes swell. Actually what happened is water enter into the grape and the water becomes swell. The same process is imbibition. Imbibition is the absorption of water by the solid plant materials and it becomes swelled up. Okay, so imbibition is a type of diffusion in which solid plant material it absorbs water and it gets swelled up. This is called imbibition. Okay, just think if we plant seeds in the soil and after some time new seedlings are produced. We are planting seeds in the ground and after some time new seedlings are developed. How this possible? These seeds will absorb water from the surrounding system and it will swell up. As a result of this, new seedlings are germinating from the seeds. Okay, so these are the four means or mainly five means of transport. Main means of transport are diffusion and active transport, then osmosis, finally two conditions, plasmolysis and imbibition. Okay. Now we are moving to, root hairs absorb water. Root hairs absorb water and from root hairs these water will move to the cortical cells. From cortical cells it is moved to the xylem. Okay, suppose this is the root hair. Okay, so these are root hairs. So these root hairs will absorb water from the soil and from the root hairs it will transport it to different parts of the plants through the process diffusion. Okay, so this is the soil and the concentration of water in the soil is more compared to root hair. So what obviously happened? Water moved from higher concentration to lower concentration. So the root hair which contain more water. Then from root hair it will passes through root hair, the water passes through the cortical cell to the cortical cells through the process osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water from higher concentration to lower concentration to a semi-permeable membrane. From cortical cells it will move to xylem and from xylem all parts of plant. Okay, so from root hair it moves to the cortical cells through the process osmosis and from cortical cells it moves to xylem, from xylem all parts of the plant body. Okay, you understand the path of water flow? So from soil it absorbed by root by the process diffusion. From root hair it moves to the cortical cells by the process osmosis. From cortical cells it moves to the xylem. From xylem it moves to all parts of the plant body. Okay, then there are two types of pathway. First one is apoplastic pathway. And second one is symplastic pathway. Apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. Apoplastic pathway means the movement of water molecule through intercellular spaces. The movement of water through intercellular spaces. without crossing any cell membrane. So there is no energy is required for this movement, only it depends upon the concentration gradient. So the movement of water through the intercellular spaces without crossing any membrane are called apoplastic pathway. Then what is symplastic pathway? Symplastic pathway is the movement of water molecules from one cell to the adjacent cell through plasma membrane, cytoplasm and plasmodesmata. So the movement of water molecules from one cell to another, one cell to the adjacent nearby neighbor cells through plasma membrane, cytoplasm and plasmodesmata. Here the water molecules depends on the concentration gradient. So these are the two type of pathway where the water is transported from one cell to another. Okay. So these are about different methods or pathway of the transport of water. Now, what is transpiration? So next topic is transpiration. Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the aerial parts of the plant. Evaporation of water from the aerial parts of the plant through stomata. You know the structure of stomata? Okay, and the stomata will be open in daytime and the stomata will be closed in night time. Okay, so transpiration is the evaporation of water from the aerial parts of the plants through stomata, and the stomata will be open in daytime and closed in night time. And the opening and closing of stomata is regulated by the uptake of water by the guard cell. This is guard cell. When the guard cell absorbs water, it will become swell. When the guard cell will absorb water, guard cell absorb water and become swell, that is turgid. The guard cell become turgid. As a result, the stomata will be open. When the guard cell it absorb water, these guard cell will become turgid, and as a result of this turgidity of stomata, these stomata will be open. Okay. And how this stomata will close? When the guard cell it removes water, guard cell which eliminates water from there, and it will become flaccid and the stomata will become closed. When the guard cell it absorbs water, it will become turgid. As a result, the stomata will open. When the guard cell it releases the water, it will become flaccid and the stomata will become closed. Okay, this is actually the closing and opening of stomata. Then, what is transpiration pull? Transpiration pull. Okay, what is transpiration pull? When water is evaporated from the mesophyll cells of leaves through open stomata. So, water which evaporates from the mesophyll cells of the leaves through the open stomata. This lower the water concentration in mesophyll cells. As a result, more water is drawn into these cells from the xylem present in the veins through the process of osmosis. So, these are mesophyll cells. Okay, so water will be evaporated. Water will be evaporated from the mesophyll cells. Water will be evaporated from the mesophyll cells. As a result of this evaporation, the concentration of water in the mesophyll cells become lower. Concentration of water from the in the mesophyll cells become lower. So, as a result, the xylem tissues which is present in the veins, it transports water to the mesophyll cells. It transports water to the mesophyll cells. So, what is happening when evaporation, then transpiration takes place. Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the mesophyll cells of the leaves. As a result of this evaporation of water from the mesophyll cells, the concentration of water in the mesophyll cells becomes lower compared to the concentration of water in xylem. As a result, there occur a concentration gradient. So, water from higher concentration, that is water which is present in the xylem, that is higher concentration, it moves to the lower concentration, that is mesophyll cells, through semi-permeable membrane. So, the process is osmosis. Okay, so when this water is moved from the xylem to the mesophyll cells, they exert a pressure. As water is lost from the leaves, pressure is created at the top. So, a pressure is created at the top of the plant. So, this pressure which reaches to the root tip also. As a result, more water is absorbed by the root hairs. This pressure, this pull of water from the soil to the top of the leaves are called transpiration pull. So, as water lost from the leaves, pressure is created at the top to pull more water from the xylem to the mesophyll cells. This process is called transpiration pull. This extends up to the root, causing the root to absorb more water from the soil to ensure continuous flow of water from root to the leaves. So, as a result of this transpiration pull, more and more of water is absorbed by the root hairs. As a result, more water will reach through the xylem to the leaf tissues and other parts of the plant. Then, what are the factors which affect transpiration? What are the factors that affect transpiration? External factors, then internal factors. The factors which affect transpiration. There are two types of factors, external factors and internal factors. Temperature, light, humidity and wind are the external factors. Temperature, light, humidity and wind speed are the external factors. Temperature, light, humidity and wind speed are the external factors that regulate transpiration. Then, what are the internal factors that affecting transpiration? Number and distribution of stomata, percentage of open stomata, water status of plant and canopy structure. So, first one is number and distribution of stomata. number and distribution of stomata. Then second one, percentage of open stomata, percentage of open stomata. Then third one, water status of the plant. Finally, canopy structure. Canopy means shade. Canopy means shade. Okay, so these are the internal and external factors that affect transpiration. External factors is temperature, light, humidity, wind speed. Internal factors is number and distribution of stomata, percentage of open stomata, then water status of the plant, finally canopy structure. Then what is root pressure? What is root pressure? What is root pressure? Actually, root pressure is when along with water, the mineral ions are also taken by the root hairs. Along with water, mineral ions are also taken by the root hair. As a result of these actively absorbing mineral ions, a pressure is developed in the root hairs. This pressure is called root pressure and which helps for the active absorption of water. What is root pressure? Root pressure is along with water absorption, mineral ions are also absorbed by the root hairs. Due to this active absorption of mineral ions along with water, a pressure is exerted in the root. This pressure is called root pressure. This pressure is called root pressure. This root pressure which helps for the more and more absorption of water by the root hairs. So these are the first part of transport in plants. So we studied what is transport, what are the means of transport, through what tissues these waters are transporting, then what is the pathway of water transport, then what are the type of pathways, that is apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway, what is transpiration, then how the stomata will open and close, and what are transpiration pools and how this water is evaporated from the leaves, and what are the factors that affecting transpiration, and what is root pressure. Okay, in the next half we will discuss about transport of food. Now we discuss about transport of water. Okay, transport of water. Next we will discuss transport of solutes, food, mineral ions and related to some other transport. Okay, so these are about today.